Did not stream last night, and I know this is supposed to be the start of the Pyrodancer build run, but I was not feeling that great last night, so I skipped it, but that's okay. We're still going to see a lot of the end game bosses, or at least the end game of vanilla. Basically, all I really did here is skip a lot of the early bosses that are really easily beaten anyway. You're still going to see Millennia, you're still going to see Radon, you're still going to see all the fun ones, so don't worry about that. You're still going to get all the good stuff. So anyway, this is the Pyrodancer. Let's get this thing going officially. Hey YouTube, I'm Dave Sicily, and welcome back for another crazy build. This one being the Pyrodancer. What's so special about the Pyrodancer? Why did I do the Pyrodancer? It's not a character in some video game or famous movie series or anything like that. No, it's actually based on a character from one of my novels. Now, I'm not going to say which one that is, or even who it is. In fact, it's not even technically the correct character, because there was no dancer stuff going on anyway. It was a totally different thing. I just added the whole dancer thing after I started going through all the spells and abilities and weapons I was going to do, and I just thought, hey, you know what would be even cooler than this? A Pyrodancer, because of the dress and the way the dancer dress abilities work. Because the dancer abilities, they get bonus damage on dancer-themed abilities. Like any ability or skill in the game that's marked as a dancer ability gets bonus damage when using this, wearing this dress. So, anyway, and then there's also going to be a whole lot of fire. Lots of fire, plenty of fire. Honestly, this all came about as I was doing research for Fire Mage, because next weekend is World of Warcraft Fire Mage. So, anyway, that's the whole idea around this build. Hope you enjoyed. If you do, be sure to like and subscribe and engage. You know how all that works. Anyway, let's get farting. So, because this is not based on any kind of movie or comic or character or anything like that, this is based on my own stuff, and then I made significant adjustments to work with the whole dancer thing that's going on. I don't really know what to show off here. I mean, it's the dancer clothes, it's the dancer dress, and instead of giving her the dancer daggers, which have a special attack animation, all sorts of stuff for this, it's all fire-based, because I don't want to just be a dual-weapon wielder who, yes, the dancer blades do have some pretty interesting moves. It's an interesting moveset, but this is not about being interesting slashy moveset. No, this is about fire, lots of fire. So anyway, here's this is the look for now. We got your standard, whatever, the girl dress, because I didn't think actually, when I first loaded this in, I still had my Forsaken from Frostmage in the dress. That was something. Build-wise, there's not much to go on here. It's really hard to pick and choose what all the stats should be, because a lot of them are really useful, but for the most part, we're mostly in dexterity, faith, maxed out vigor. Honestly, I don't think I really needed that much vigor. I did need the endurance to get to a light load. Honestly, I wish I could have some more mind. Anyway, it's pretty obvious where I need to go to increase the stats for this build. Actually, I think I need to get strength up more. And as for all the fire choices and abilities, I went with the Magma Blade because it is the most dancey. See, there's a bit of a theme here. Everything has to be dancey. Like, I can't just be slash, or throw fireball, or throw pot. No, it has to have this finesse. It has to feel like a dance, like this. So all my choices were based on whether it was dancey. I know no one likes using the fire pot. It's definitely not a good ability, but what can I say? A good weapon, but what can I say? I mean, look at that. Look at her twirl. I mean, how is that not dancey, right? Like, that's very finesse-based. We got this ability, also finessey. I know it's not Rolling Sparks, but Rolling Sparks does not have that grace to it. Basically, you just summon some sparks and throw them. The same is true with most of the fire spells. Honestly, fire spells did not come into play here as much as I thought they would. In the end, I actually had to end up make more decisions based on speed, because I know it's not very graceful, but if I can work the spell in really fast, that kind of counts. And then this one, Whirl O Flame, which is also the only other one that's like, has some grace to it. I also have the Giant's Thread Braid, which literally has Flame Dance in the name, and when things get really hairy, I got a Curved Greatsword with Flaming Strike, not Redmane. I know Flame of the Redmanes is even stronger ability, but it definitely doesn't have the grace that I'm looking for. Anyway, there's the theme, there's the whole setup for the build, so let's just let's just get to it, shall we? Now, I did not want to start here at Fire Giant. I wanted to move on and go through the... What are you doing? Okay, that was nothing. Anyway, so... But I figured Fire Giant will probably be an epic pain in the butt. And I figured people would enjoy watching me struggle against Fire Giant, because of course they do. So, thus I decided to start here. Wait, let's do here. Let's do this. I have no idea how this is going to go against Fire Giant. From my initial testing of this build so far, it's been okay. It's not my favorite. Apparently you can get some really awesome fire builds going, but not with this setup that I have. So I am really not sure how this is going to go. I haven't seen any big, real big damage numbers, and of course this guy's all fire stuff. So I can only imagine how this fight's going to go. Yeah, this is going to be a pain. He's not that resistant to fire like I was worried about, but it's not doing a lot of fire damage either. It's just... So not a crazy resistance like fighting Renala with magic, but I also don't have the benefit of the bleed and percentage-based damage, right? I do have speed, though, for a change. It's nice having some speed. Yeah. You know, I really should probably... I will probably have to end up switching to the dismounter for the non-fire damage. Now, I do have a summoned Spirit Ash, but I'm going to try to avoid using it because there's no real reason to use it. We had my own flames, we are flaming apart. See if the spreading the flames around make a difference here. Nope, not a thing. And of course I was standing in my own flames, or actually no, not standing in my flames as it is. So yeah, that went about home. I expected it to go, but I really shouldn't be using that pot right there. Anyway, the pot is not what I should be using. For larger enemies, I should be really using the red braid. Oh wait, I'm going to switch over to the dismounter, because even though this will put me at a medium load, and I'm going to change it to non-fire damage, because even though the total damage will be higher, it's keen because I really don't have any, I don't really have the strength to take advantage of it. But the non-fire damage, a huge chunk of that fire damage is probably being heavily resisted, so full physical, even though it will be less, should be more helpful. Sometimes he does that move, sometimes he does the slam move. I don't know how the game decides. It's not worth trying to go around it, really. I was literally hammering the dodge button, but who cares? Actually, I'm not even sure why my sword is glowing right now. Okay. For some reason, all the explosive balls flew through his body again. And, oh, there goes all my runes. This game, man. Sometimes this game makes me really wonder about things. But I kind of figured this, well, okay, it hasn't been a pain because it's just high damage. It's a pain because, well, okay, it's high damage, sure, but it's, or I was expecting to have really high damage resistance, and he doesn't actually. But the problem right now is I can't seem to avoid the stupid fireballs. Nothing graceful about this fighting. My sword to catch on fire before. What caused that? Okay, well, clearly, being such a wide-striking weapon over such a big guy makes no difference. Okay, that was not very clean or graceful or even quite right to the rules, but I needed this one to be done. Unfortunately, I really need this fight to be finished because there's just too much to do tonight to get stuck on him. So we are going to move on. That giant spray has proven to be kind of useless, but we will see what made it catch on fire. The sword was on fire. What made it catch on fire? I would really like to know what spell exactly set it on fire so they had a burning blade. Okay, more faith. Honestly, I'm not getting that much out of the faith. But whatever, it's a huge part of the overall damage, so I'm going to have to keep leveling it. Honestly, though, I think I need more mind in the long run. Thankfully, I don't have to worry too much about any of the other stats, really. There should be enough going on here for me to get a lot of damage bonuses. I don't have... this is not like a perfectly optimized build. I've never said any of these builds are perfectly optimized. They're just fun builds to throw at the game. There's, you know, different ways of playing a game. But they're not perfect. I'm never going to say they're actually perfect. And I've already said before, I don't actually like the whole buff out system. I don't like games where your maximum ceiling is reached by piling in tons and tons of buffs. I don't like that. I'd rather like maybe just one situational buff when you need it. But this whole idea of like a million buffs is I don't care for it.
I have longed this world and death. Are you to commit? Very well. Let my hand.
See, one reason why I decided to go with this weapon, even though I got the great curved sword, repeated hits are part of the damage, you know, so a rotten wing insignia, which apparently also increases, or supposedly increases overall damage, not just physical damage, although I'm pretty sure it's actually physical damage, but that's what the wiki said. So it's a quick, easy way to give myself a quick fire damage bonus, so I figured it was worth holding on to. And plus, it's got the whole grace thing going for it. You know, so far, based on what I've been doing here with this build, I'm actually not looking forward to Fire Mage, World of Warcraft Fire Mage. It actually had the least viable spell options of all of the three mage builds. I mean, there are spells. Like I said, I only did it because there's one spell that's literally breathing like a fire dragon. There's a dragon head that breathes flames. This is actually one of the spells in World of Warcraft that the Fire Mage gets, one of their specialization skills, but that's about it. And that's the part I'm worried about. Yes, I can get a fireball spell. Yes, I can even get a extra large fireball spell. I can even get one that leaves like a flaming pool of magma, which is the best I can do for Fire Blast, I think it's called. I don't know, the AoE spell, that's really more of a dot. So there are options in those in that sense, but that's really where it ends. I don't think there's an option I can use for Scorch, and a lot of these are short range. These are very short range spells too, and this doesn't include any of the more like the really fancy spells. Like there's a lot more fancy fire spells that are more effective, but none of them are really Fire Mage. Well, maybe they added something later in like later expansions that were much more exciting. I didn't really ever play with fire. I had to go Frost to level up, and then Arcane when I wanted to. Because apparently Arcane was great for damage for most of the time, with Fire really only being the best option, usually once you've gotten like full raid gear or something like that. Usually when you were really decked out, then Fire became worth it overall. But no, I never really played Fire, so if there's any new special spells they got, I'm going to have to discover it when I look it up. Okay, this is gonna suck. We'll try it without help first. You know, I want to get some. We'll put not the Marika. Where's my? Yeah, I don't really need the flask so much in this one. Here we go. I really should have just healed there. I don't know what I was thinking. I do have an option to summon, but it's actually pretty powerful. The guy you can summon, so I'm trying to avoid using it. But so far, this damage is actually pretty shitty. I'm not liking how this build's turning out so far, honestly. Yeah, that was a shitty situation. Ooh, the short range of the sword is a problem. And also, I really don't have time tonight to mess around with any one boss, because I'm still... The issue that bothered me last night is still bothering me tonight. Honestly, I'm only really doing this because I figured I couldn't skip 2 nights in a row. Especially after skipping all the beginning of December, so... So I'm still gonna try. But I am not. I reserve the right to use any trick I can to get through anything quickly on any lesser boss. I mean, these guys are hardly a lesser boss, frankly. This gave a lot of people lots of problems. Actually, gave me tons of problems when Elden Ring first came out. But they are not. They're basically just reused bosses from earlier in the game. They just put 2 of them together, that's all. So we are not gonna... I don't want to waste too much time on it. But I figured people would want to see me struggle with this against them, so... swear the buttons on this controller are failing. This isn't happening a lot lately. Like when I fought Morgott earlier, I had my HP was on the low side, and I was like, he has an ability where he's far away from you, he'll charge for you with the spear. So I had plenty of time. In that instance to use a healing potion, but for some reason I just didn't use it. I was like literally pounding the button. It just happened again. Unusual for anyone to be missing me so much. I mean, I get hit so often. It's unusual to be on, like, to be the one being missed like crazy for a chain. That was kind of fun. Close, but I did get it without help, so at least it ended up being a decent result in the end anyway. I actually, well, okay, no, that was weird though, in that second, with that one guy who kept missing me, like, over and over again. That was strange. I'm not sure what was happening there. I'd rather not put things into strength. I'd rather put things into, you know, I'm gonna put things into mind first, and then strength towards the end. And then from where, if there's any stats left over, we'll figure what to do. But you know what? Since damage is... Since I actually need quite a few stats for this one, I am not going to take any risks. I am going to make sure I get all my levels that I possibly can. 60 more. Okay, here we go. Moving on. So I got some new games in. Again, I got Liza P last month, but I've also got what was it called? Berserker. Oh crap! The game is sitting over on the table over there. I can't quite see it. Whatever the Souls-like with the Berserker guy. At least I think it's a Souls-like. So I got that. I'm not quite sure how long I'll hog that one. But I do intend to... Well, anyway, I'm going to find out if it's any good. And if it is, well, we might see it in the future, you know. Let me know if you want to see a certain game. I do have quite a few of Souls-likes. The better ones, anyway. Not any of the... Whoa, you don't normally chase me this far, buddy. Usually you're just happy to stand back there casting spells. He actually chased me for once. But he didn't catch up, so no biggie. So yes, I got that game, I got Liza P, I actually got Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't know if that game is appropriate for an on-stream game, because apparently it's incredibly long. If it's anything like the first game, and apparently it's... The biggest problem is that with that game is that it barely improves on the formula from the first game. But I have it. And hopefully it's not like really long. I could probably give it maybe a couple plays. But I can play that if, you know, just let me know if you want to see me do something else. I also want to play more After Image. I actually like that. It's actually rare for me these days to like start playing a game and then be all like, I want to keep playing this game. It's pretty rare these days. So it's nice to have one of those. You know what? I think I need more reach for you. So we're going to bring in this guy. Plus, I really want to figure out why the spell, the sword caught on fire there. Because I don't know why. Yeah, I got flames too, buddy. Oh, there's a spell I don't see too often. Resisting a lot of damage than usual. 300, 400 damage on all my strikes. Like, what the hell? What's going on here? Okay, why are you sitting? Okay, I don't know what that was all about, but okay, it was a thing. Okay, now for a sexy dragon. A sexy dragon. A sexy dragon. I really don't think this will help, but you're gonna want more speed against him. I'm thinking that what I'm going for is any spell that has like a reach to it or a spread to it might do extra damage. That's probably erroneous thinking, but we'll find out. This is probably going to be a bit of a shit show, but we'll give it a shot. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll come back with a little extra... Oh, right, I need lightning resistance. That's why I need lightning resistance. Well, shouldn't have stayed in the menu for so long. But, oh well. So the Giant's Braid was actually doing a good bit of damage. Simply through the sheer reach. But I'm not sure just how effective it can be overall. I really gotta figure out what made the sword light up that time. I had a flaming sword for a bit there, but I don't know why. You know, if I were doing things perfectly, then I'd be casting flames everywhere like crazy. Like, ideally, there should be fire going at all times. But as you can see, it's a little tricky. The idea is they're supposed to be like swing, fire attack, swing, fire attack, swing, fire attack. Ideally, that's what I'm shooting for, but not necessarily the most efficient, you know, use of these abilities. Don't worry, we'll get this into the swing of things. keep spamming the attacks that you can't dodge. Normally the idea here is you just dip behind him and he just starts using attacks you don't have to worry about so much. Why is the sword doing so little damage? Okay, I don't know why the sword is doing so tiny, like 300, 400 HP damage on all my attacks. Something's weird. Should be doing like 600. Or more, ideally. Don't know where you can... Well, I don't know what's going on with that other sword. I don't get why its damage is so low. I mean, sure, it's even lower this one, but the DPS is so much higher. What the hell is going on with this thing? 600. I don't know, and I still have no clue why the sword was on fire that one time. Let me check this. Okay. Apparently just using that ability will coat it in fire, but it isn't always coating it in fire. Well, once again, I have too many bosses to do tonight, and no one's watching anyway, so I'm just gonna bring in the help, because not like, so yeah. Already? Come on. I had some Dragon's Dogma action going on for a second there. I was right on top of him. He angry. Stop flying away. Well, there you go. Calling for help makes a difference. That's the moral of the story. But I do got to figure out a way to get more of the actual dancey qualities of this build in, because when going right, like well, okay, I didn't practice this, but the idea is I should be, in theory, be able to just get all these various spells off in like a combo. Alright, well, the giant spray is only for the big ones. So we go back to... There's the perfume bottle. I'm not sure if I'll need help for Malakath. I mean, yeah, well, actually, you know what? Yes, he's bouncy, and yes, I'm bouncy, but I'm also very short range. And I actually found short reach can be a real problem with Malakath. Long reach weapons can actually make a huge difference because you can sneak in more little hits, and he doesn't have a lot of HP. So you sneak in a lot of little extra hits, it'll add up really fast. Okay, well, having more healing potions would have made a difference. But, yeah, I should have known. Fire works against him pretty well. Okay, well, it didn't work exceptionally well, but first I get this stupid recording warning off. That's really throwing me off there. This big recording warning right in my face. what the hell? Why is this guy harder than the frickin' Malakath himself was? Okay, this just feels like a waste of time now. See, it works fine in the second phase. Why in the first phase? I think it's just a reach thing. I don't know. For some reason, he's actually being really hard to fight in the first phase with this build. I might have to pull out the stupid greatsword for this, just because. Just because I think the reach is killing me here. Okay, well, I'm also kind of rushing this, because I'm trying to fit all these bosses in, so that's likely what's throwing me off so badly. And it never works to rush. You never want to rush any Souls games, because it's just not smart. Okay, well, supposedly Flame Strike envelops your weapon in flames, but that ain't happening, so whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's going on tonight. Okay, why is this not... Like, what's the hell? It says... You gotta do the special... Fine, that's BS. If it envelops your weapon in flames, it should just do it. And then it should say in the description, I gotta do this heavy attack for it to apply. That's just stupid. I don't know why they think it's necessarily a good thing to keep players in the dark so much in the Souls series. Everything's always so vague, or it just doesn't tell you at all. You're supposed to experiment and figure it out for yourself, but a lot of the times it's just... I mean, I've been playing this for like almost 3 years now, and I never knew that happened. So it just goes to show that just because sometimes you just don't. You think it's whatever. I imagine some people think are going, hee, you missed something, and like, that's not a good thing, guys. Why is he hitting me in every way possible tonight? I mean, I'm absolutely pounding the dodge button. Finally. God damn it. I am just... This is just an off night. I don't know. I mean, I have a good idea why it's an off night, but I mean, like I said, the issue that kept me from streaming last night is still bugging me tonight, so... It didn't go away, I just didn't want to miss 2 nights in a row, and it's clearly holding me back. I don't know what to say. I'm absolutely pounding these buttons, and it's like nothing's happening, so... I'm missing like every bloody dodge, and well, it usually needs to get a little later in the night before that starts happening, but tonight it's pretty much happening now. Might have to jump to some later bosses and forget the vanilla ones, because this is quickly turning into a shit show. And I'm not even talking about Malcath, I'm just talking the first phase. For some reason, it's giving me a lot of trouble tonight. I don't know, since when did this buff? I don't remember. I remember it lasted a lot longer than this. I'm actually reapplying it, like, pretty quickly. Okay, well. This is probably the worst my reflexes have been ever since I started streaming tonight. So I'm gonna... I can't do this all night. I have too many other bosses to do. Honestly, I might just go to just Moog and Melanie after this. And I highly doubt I'll beat Melanie anyway. Just, you know... I'm missing every single dodge. It's like really bad tonight. And I was planning on calling it a little early anyway. So I'm just... And I never really care for the end game bosses. I don't actually like Godfrey and Radagon really, so. And why is this not lasting so long? Usually it lasts a really long time. Like, what the hell? Ah, I see. Okay, they don't stack. Well, also, I still think I have that lightning resist crap. Okay, I just sort of... So it turns out all I really needed to do was spam... What's this called? Magma Shower more. Which I wasn't doing. Instead of just doing one strike and then run away, I did 2 strikes, and it turns out they cut through his HP really quickly. I mean, in the end, Hild... Well, I mean, certainly Hild helped me get through the first phase really fast. Actually, you know, I can't say he didn't make a difference. Sure, he got killed by Malakath super quick, but... I don't know why that first phase was giving me extra trouble with this build for some reason. Okay, well, since I actually thought this would take even longer to get through those guys, so I wasn't going to do these bosses at all, but turns out we were I was able to get here anyway. So let's give these guys a quick, you know, coffee. Give them a little visit. See how it goes, and then we'll go to the more interesting bosses. Moog is actually kind of weird, as I've noticed. He actually seems to take reduced fire damage from the front. From the back, it's fine, but from the front, it's almost like he has super high fire resistance or something. Yeah, I'm not gonna play with Gideon tonight. I'm just... He's definitely not sewn up. I can't get stuck with him. That's just all it's to it.
To become Elden Lord.
So he's just gonna have to go real.
I commend your spirit, but alas, none will take the throne. As our elves continue to struggle.
Okay, that wasn't fast at all. This cursed the short reach of this thing.
Become a lord. Not even.
But still. Yeah, it would have been disastrous to die to him right now.
Kill a god.
So I've actually made a type of video that I'm gonna be using for when I have days when I can't decide what to do or what to put up, or if something's not working or whatever. I've come up with something called, it's not a build, it's called the Road to New Game Plus 7, because I do actually have I think it's in Plus 3, and someone mentioned before about, oh, you know, this isn't so fun, you kill the bosses so quickly. I'm like, well, I mean, it doesn't make a difference, who cares, right? But whatever, I've never actually played at plus 7 before in any Souls game, so I'm not entirely certain. Like, my argument for not doing any kind of plus 7 builds is because supposedly at plus 7, the bosses are all so strong that most builds would be completely infeasible. They wouldn't be viable no matter what. So, and at plus 7, you're supposed to be using the absolute best of the best builds, right? But the point of these runs isn't to create the best of the best builds. It's to be fun, right? This is for fun. So if all the builds I'm doing are not fun, they're just... Sure, the bosses are much tougher and take much more hits, you know? I'm not steamrolling over everything. But if the build is just no good simply because it's plus 7, then, like, what's the point? And the point of these is to be fun. Like, I'm trying to create the builds, all these different builds for the fun of it, and different ways to play through the game, not to create the super overpowered builds. So that's why I don't do any of this at plus 7, even though that'd be much easier on me. I can play through the game over and over again, different builds every time, because everything would carry over. Instead of doing all this messing around with the PS4 save files and copying and moving and pasting and all this stuff, right? But someone did say, I did say I'd change it, that method, if someone complained, and well, one person is hardly enough to make me change my method. It did give me an idea, though, for, like, you know, the road to New Game 7. So, in any day, if I can't think of something to do or I have to pull something or change something, that's what I'll be doing. It's probably not the most exciting content, because for me, I'd just be running through the game as quickly as possible to get to the next plus, using the most OP builds possible. But hey, it's something on those days when I am just not into it. Anywho. Oh, that went better than I expected. And since I went better, much better than I expected, I am just going to jump straight to the end part where I don't mess around because, like I said, I don't have much time tonight. And I am quickly losing steam here. Well, I didn't have much steam to begin with. So, I'm never going to find a use for this perfume bottle. The idea of the perfume bottle, aside from giving, you know, more fire, was to have a, like, if an enemy was approaching me, I can, like, create the wall of flames, and they'd have to run into the wall of flames, and plus, you know, more fire, and, you know, looks pretty. It's a pretty fire show, but it does no damage. It's like, why bother? Actually, just for curiosity's sake, let's try this with this thing. Not that I expect this will work out well, but... Okay, for some weird reason, I dual-handed the stupid catalyst. This is why I'm starting to worry that there's something wrong with the controller, because you won't believe how many times just then I was pressing the button to stop two-handing the flames, and it wouldn't do it. So that was not great. It's getting a little worrisome, actually. How many times tonight I've, like, pounding buttons, and I don't mean in terms of just missing dodges, I mean, like, I'm standing there with nothing to do, and the boss is over there having a merry little time, and I'm just trying to use like a flask, and the enemy, it just won't go off. And I'm getting a little concerned. That's been a few times today alone now. Bullshit. Wasn't even facing me. Frankly, I was doing better with the stupid short sword. I don't know, I guess I was a little more focused. Whereas this thing, I keep feeling like I'm trying to set up this spell or that spell or whatever. Ooh, saved by the... Yeah, that was shitty, but that was funny there. I'm in the middle of the explosion radius and I just like, I gotta hit him in the face! Must stab sword in face! You know, successfully stabbed sword in face, evaded explosion going on around me. So that was pretty funny. Okay, so I'm really just gonna give Radagon a a little short cup of coffee visit, because I am rapidly losing here. I really doubt I'm gonna be able to do Millennia. I mean, I'll do her, but I'm not saying I'll fight her. I'm not saying I'll beat her. It's just pretty much completely losing it here. So at least that's a nice jump in my mana there. Totals. Let's try this with this. I doubt the sparks will be of much use. Alright, I keep forgetting to change out stuff. Right, well, actually, you can even see I pressed it. I don't know what's going on. You can actually see I even pressed the button. I started to dodge, and it just knocked me out of midair with a midair dodge. So that was actually timed right. So why did it still hit? That was more like if you didn't have iframes, and you know, I know people love their iframes. I don't know. This is a sort of a thing where it's like iframes versus just dodging. Like you got to actually dodge the attack, and if he hits you mid-attack, it counts. But that's why they have the whole iframes thing to make you feel like make you feel good about yourself, even though you didn't actually dodge the attacks. Most of the times these attacks go right through your body, and the game just conveniently ignores it, sort of thing. I don't know what my point is. Dodged! Come on! At the exact moment I hit the dodge button. Come on, man. Come on. Well, you're being cheap tonight, so I'm just gonna pull out Hill. Like I said, I'm afraid I just don't have time for everyone tonight, so. Like I said, it's just gonna be a cup of coffee, but I don't like to leave a fight completely unbeaten, even though it's just that. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's just not a good weekend for this. So I'm just gonna get it done, just for the sake of getting it done. Damn, that damage can really add up. Must be a low poise thing. I've noticed that with the low poise builds. Even if you dodge an attack, it's almost like the game considers whether your poise was broken first before it considers whether you actually dodged correctly. Because that's the only way I can explain how there's a lot of times where I know I actually dodged with the right timing, but it doesn't register because I think it registers a lighter hit first. And there we go again. I pressed the dodge button. How did that go behind him? You're actually getting more fire to stupid from him than I am from me. I'm supposed to be the one dancing the flames here, but it seems like I never have the mana to combo. Actually, and frankly, it's supposed to just suck. Really? I might have to actually dump the whole fire spell thing. And I don't care about the Elden Beast, honestly. I mean, I know some people do, but I don't. I fight Radagon, then we're good to go, and I just move on from there. If I beat the Elden Beast, that's just bonus. Although so far it looks like we got the stupid one tonight. Nope, guess not. Well, anyway, not gonna do him, sorry. We gotta move on to much more interesting bosses, of which there are only 2 left, and one I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna beat. So let's do Moog. Yes, I'm actually doing a lot of the first night bosses and second night bosses in one go, although it's mostly second night bosses. Where are you, Mogi? I have no idea how this is gonna go. Reach is usually not a big deal with Moog, because you just get around behind him. We'll see how it goes. But again, I don't want to spend too much time on any one boss, because I am so out of gas here. I was out of gas last night, frankly. I just never filled back up. Come on, get out of there. Not enough room to maneuver up there. Well, that was a good effort. That was nice, that was fun, that was cute. So we're bringing in Hill next. There's no need to drag this out. It was not bad. Damage, though, is very poor with build. I mean, there's a lot of speed, though. But Don't know why. I mean, I have an idea why the... Like, with all the talismans I got going... Oh, well, I've still got this. With all the talismans, though, I got going here, I figured I'd get better damage than this. What am I missing here now? I broke walk on just then, but... Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm not doing it again. Sorry, guys. Not at that little teeny weeny sliver of health. No, we're moving on. So we're going to move on to Millennia, and then that will be it for the night, because I honestly just can't do anymore. I just can't. So we'll just give her a shot, just see how it goes, and then that'll be it. What? One shot? Oh god. This is gonna suck. Oh man, those are low resistances. Alright, well, we gave her a shot with the regular weapons. Now we're going to go for the extra help. But honestly, the quick strikes was actually doing more damage. It's one of these funny things where the damage seems low, but then her health bar starts coming off really fast. So, maybe not that fast, but certainly better than I was expecting, considering. Couldn't even move. Problem with low poise. Alright, that's all, folks, for the night. I am absolutely dying here. And no one's watching anyway, why am I even bothering with this build? So, yeah, that's it for tonight. I got nothing left in the tank. Frankly,